Hey Gengar Gang, what is going on? My name is Ryan, this is the Analytic Gengar, and welcome to another video. In today's video, we got another PSA Graded Return. Hope you guys are doing well. Not gonna say much other than this is the 9th video in what is probably going to be at least 14, maybe 15 videos worth of PSA Graded Return. So if you're not already a fan, definitely feel free to check out the playlist, check out the other videos. And without further ado, let's go ahead and crack into this amazing 20 card submission. So today's video is going to be more EX era stuff. Today's video, guys, is actually going to be a little weird. The only reason that it is going to be weird is because I believe I have something in the range of 13 cards that are actually all the exact same. And you're going to see what I mean in just a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and get these set up for the reveals. And here's an interesting random side bit. When you submit cards to PSA, you typically place them in a certain order. And I usually actually not only place them in that order, but I also then go ahead and expect them back in that order. For some reason, PSA has actually been placing my cards in a different order when they have come back. So I actually see the top card as not in the same way that the original cards were submitted. So that's an interesting little side bit. Let me know if that has happened to you and if you have submitted PSA cards recently. Now, without further ado, here is the very first card, and you guys will have to, forgive the wicked amounts of glare as it is broad daylight here where I'm at. But here is our first card. It is a 2003 Muck from EX Dragon. We actually saw one of these already. Really cool artwork, kind of vaguely reminds me and or looks like it's based off of the stuff from like Fossil and like the older sets. It just kind of looks like they threw it in 3D. So this is a really good looking card. And this card went ahead and got itself a 8. Alright, PSA 8 is our first one. Alrighty friends, next up we have a Charmeleon from EX Dragon. These are the secret rares. In EX Dragon, what they ended up doing was they ended up putting a Charmander, a Charmeleon, and a Charizard as the 3 secret rare cards. Secret rares back in the EX era work pretty much the same way they do now. They basically had a number, like 99, above the total number of cards in the set. So this is 99 out of 97. So that's kind of how these secret rares work. I do have 3 Charmeleons. I also had a Charizard, but it was creased. So it was probably going to end up getting a poor grade, and as a result, I opted to have it not submitted. But this one was actually in really good condition. So I think I'm going to use my call for the day and say that this one got a Gem Mint PSA. Nice, a PSA 10, very cool. Yeah, so this card was actually in really good condition. I was surprised because, I mean, you know, like I had said in previous videos, it's difficult sometimes when you buy so many cards to expect any one card to be outstanding quality. And that's just the way that I kind of look at it, because if you have 300 cards in a lot, it's very difficult to be on and about every single card. I understand if it's like, you know, 20 cards, you could probably shark it down really well and kind of do your research, and I've been there and done that before. But when it's 300, that the number is just so large, it can be really difficult to be on top of everything all the time. Here is another Charmeleon. I already used my 10, but I'm gonna go ahead and say that, fun fact, this one has a swirl, that this one got a PSA 9. Very cool. And this is another big hitter. These cards can go for quite a bit of money. And because they are the Charizard family, you know, there's always that added benefit to this stuff. And plot twist, I actually see another one, so I guess there were 4 in the submission, which is pretty nifty. Look at the shine on those. Got a Mint 9. I'm not even going to guess because I'm kind of scared. Like, I don't think they're going to give another 10, but honestly, you never really know. So here's another one. This one also has what appears to be a swirl up top. This one ended up getting a PSA 9. Very cool. So that is 3 9s and 1 10. You can see how difficult it can often be to get a really great grade. So here is another vintage card. Now we've officially left the EX Dragon era of Pokemon cards. We are now in Team Aqua versus Team Magma. You will often see this as TMTA or TATM. So that is how it is abbreviated. And what was cool about these cards is, much like for Rocket, they actually ended up giving like Team Magma's Houndoom, and you'll see like Team Magma's Groudon or Team Aqua's Kyogre. So it's pretty nifty because you did have those named cards, and those were actually pretty cool. You can also see that, as an interesting aside, each of these Team Magma or Team Aqua Pokemon had a secondary type of Dark. So that was another interesting element to this, was that it was one of the first times you saw Dark type as a secondary type. So basically meaning this Pokemon is treated as both types in the competitive TCG. With that said, this was a holo card, so I am expecting a lower grade. Let's go with a PSA 7. Wow, a 9. So it's kind of weird because this is kind of how you can also see the quality of the cards and sort of where they were sourced from. I have a feeling that, like, if you've been a fan of the video series so far, you know that like some of the Expedition and the Legendary collections, they were relatively kind of rough looking. So it's kind of weird because now, as I sort of sit here thinking about it, they usually got like 9s if they were reverse foil. If they were hollow, they usually got like a 7, and that's a gross estimate. But over here, looks like many of the cards are getting 9s, which is probably indicative that they were from a different set or perhaps kept better over a period of time, and that's why they're getting such high grades. Now, with that said, here is the unique part about this video. So we've gone ahead and done, you know, a couple of cards. I think at this point something in the range of 6. Mind you, 4 of them were Charmeleons. But now the next basically 14 cards in the submission were all Cradily EXs out of Team Magma versus Team Aqua. Now, I love EX era cards, but I think 13 of them is a bit gratuitous, so I won't be doing many more of the grades in terms of like guessing. Here's a PSA 9, and you know, what's really cool about this card is, again, that 3D rendering of the Pokemon I personally love. This is another one of those Pokemon that kind of work like Arbok, where its eyes are actually in the black kind of like gap, but the 2 on top are meant to like distract prey. So it's actually pretty cool. And this is, of course, one of the Fossil Pokemon. So they kind of did EX Sandstorm, not as a reprint of Fossil, but I think they did revisit a lot of the older Fossil Pokemon. And then what they did is, for this particular Pokemon, they kind of waited till other EX era sets to really do Cradily and Armaldo right. So here is a Cradily EX. This one got a PSA 8. So that is just the second one. And what I notice is that as I'm kind of running down this list, I do see 9s, which is good. I mean, I'm hoping one got a 10, but here's the thing. Like I said, when there's 13 of them, something just tells me that they were kept sort of like in bulk capacity, and likely what that means is that there wasn't much opportunity for a 10 here. But I could be wrong. Let us go ahead and continue to see. So far we actually have 2 9s. Oh wow, and this one's a 9 as well. So that's 3 9s, which is actually pretty good. I know there are also, I'm expecting quite a few 8s at minimum. The reason I say that is because I do distinctly remember a few that had some rougher edges. So you'll see like right here, where my finger is, there's a little white nick. In my opinion, depending on the grader, that could be an 8 or a 9. In this case, it was a 9, so we got away with it. But there are some times when even that will kind of get penalized so harshly, especially if it's in combination with something. Aha, so here's a 7. So here we should probably be able to see why that ended up getting the grade that it did. I mean, I see a white nick down here, so I have a feeling that played a major role in all of this. But over here, what I really can't tell you is much. The challenge with EX cards, and I've said this before, is that this entire area is just so easy to get scratched, and it's more difficult than even vintage hollows because there's just that much more surface area that is so likely to be scratched. So as a result, it's one of those situations where you need to be very careful with the way that you keep these cards if you want them to grade highly in the future. Let's go ahead and see what we got here. Here's another 9. So it looks like these cards were kept in pretty good condition. The difference between a 9 and a 10 is honestly so slim. And here we have a white dot. But then again, I've seen PSA 10s that have a little something. And PSA doesn't actually say that 10s need to be perfect. Fun fact, a lot of people are under a misconception that PSA 10s need to be absolutely perfect. I would argue pristine Beckett's need to be perfect. And I mean, look no further than the grading standards, but quite literally for PSA often says that there is room for a minor, and when I say minor, I mean really minor defect on a PSA 10. So never be surprised if you buy a PSA 10 and it does have a small abnormality. Oftentimes, just because it's a PSA 10 does not mean it is a Beckett 10, which is crazy to think, but there are some slight differences. And let me clarify that a PSA 10 is not necessarily a pristine black label BGS 10. I have seen, and I actually have crossed Beckett 10s to PSA 10s, but those are just the ones where it's not a black label. Black label cards are a completely different beast in and of itself. Here is a 8. And you can see what I mean here. It was a lot of Cradle EX. I kind of wish they had like this many Mewtwo EXs or something. You know, something that people wanted, or, oh, heaven forbid, a Gengar EX. But not so lucky. But Cradle's, you know, EX cards are on the up and up, and some weirdo or some cool individual who really likes the fossil Pokemon from Gen 3 can actually end up buying these cards for quite a bit of money. So, I mean, I'm one of those weirdos who collect Gengar cards. And realistically, all it is it's a niche. It's like you like PSA 9s or PSA 8s or some weird combination of things. And it's really cool because you can actually see some pretty built out collections that have all sorts of different cards. And it's actually just very fun and very different. So I say weirdo in the most loving way possible because honestly, I think it's amazing when you can really kind of dedicate your collection to a very specific thing. I find it weirdly cool and yet so interesting at the same time because it's always fun to hear why it is you're collecting that specific item. With that said, friends, if you have a type of collection like that, like the way that I started out collecting back in 2013 with banned, illegal, and misprinted cards, definitely feel free to let me know that down below in the comments. Make sure to leave a like on the video if you enjoyed, and if you think I earned it, feel free to also subscribe. Don't forget that there's a playlist with several other PSA Graded Return videos. And with that said, friends, thanks again for checking out today's video. We'll talk to you real soon. Peace.